What's up, everyone? So, you know the drill. I am back to talk about more Premier League action. It is Monday evening, and is it Monday evening? Yeah, it's Monday. I'm losing track of the days here. It is Monday evening. We've got another big showdown for the EPL on Tuesday, 100K GPP on DraftKings again. This time it is a matchup between Manchester United and Brighton. So we do have one big name team. Expect that this will be a popular slate, and that 100K GPP should fill right up. Had a handful of new subscribers after the video yesterday, so shout out to them. I appreciate your support. And if you are new, I'm just going to be pumping out soccer content here on a regular basis. I am not trying to sell you anything or promote anything other than this channel. And I just want to give you as much helpful information as possible so you can hopefully go out and win some money on the soccer slates. So again, if you are new, please hit the subscribe button. It is much appreciated. All right, let's get into it here. Do not have player projections done yet for this slate, but I'm not sure that I'm even going to do them because I don't think they're necessary on every slate. I thought they were helpful for the Crystal Palace slate yesterday because it was such a close game with very few goals expected. So that's when I think the projections actually become very important because you do need to find any edge you can and get as much floor points. I had mentioned that I thought a goalkeeper could be the highest scoring player, and I'm pretty sure Nick Pope was the highest scorer on the slate. I also mentioned that I thought a Burnley set-piece goal could be the ticket, and it was, but it was Ben Mee and not Tarkowski like I had talked about, so we almost nailed it there. But let's go ahead and talk about this matchup between Brighton and Manchester United. Manchester United, the pretty clear favorite here. Brighton, not a bad team, though. They have, just see my notes here, they have looked pretty good since the restart. They beat Arsenal 2-1, and then they had a 0-0 draw with Leicester. So two pretty good teams they played and went toe-to-toe with them and ended up getting the win against Arsenal. So Brighton, not an opponent that Manchester United is going to walk over, but on the same token, Manchester United is on a 14-match unbeaten run in all competitions. Of course, that does extend to prior to the restart here. But as good as Brighton has been, Manchester United, is arguably, maybe the most informed Premier League team right now, or at least they're up there in the conversation. They've looked really good, and now they've got a healthy Paul Pogba coming back. They've got Bruno Fernandes, firing on all cylinders. Martial just bagged a hat trick the other day. So they look really dangerous, and they've been very solid defensively. So Manchester United is just going to be a very difficult team for anyone to beat, especially a team like Brighton. So while I don't think this match will be easy for Manchester United, I fully believe that Manchester United should pick up the W here just because of how solid they've looked recently. So if we're looking at this from a DFS perspective, it's not a real shocker here that Manchester United is going to be the team to target here. They come out with a pretty healthy edge of 15 DK points over Brighton in terms of expected offensive production here. The only category you see Brighton coming up over Manchester United is in crosses, and that makes sense because Manchester United, not a team that necessarily needs to fire in a ton of crosses. They can play kind of directly. Fernandes does love to cross the ball, but he's also very capable of, playing directly and sending through balls to Martial and Rashford. So, perhaps there is a little value in some floor plays on Brighton because of the crossing edge, but I will get to that shortly when I talk about kind of roster construction and the optimal build. But before I do that, let's just go ahead and go through the lineups quickly. So, Man U just had an FA Cup match with Norwich that went to overtime. They played 120 minutes. But most of the team was rotated. Martial and Rashford did not start, so they should be fine. Bruno Fernandes and Maguire and Luke Shaw, who's not here, played the entire game. So those are the guys that are maybe at risk of a sub. But Maguire is center back. I don't see that happening. I think we could see Brandon Williams come in for Luke Shaw over here. Brandon Williams is an interesting option because I think he is a little more interesting from an attacking perspective versus Luke Shaw. I think the big question will be what Solskjaer does with Bruno. I think he's played. I think he played 80 in one game, but other than that, he's played 90 in 3 matches since the restart. So he's played a lot of minutes. Just had that game recently that went into overtime. So I think he probably starts, but it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see him start this one on the bench. And the biggest thing there would be what happens to the United set pieces in that situation. If Andreas Pereira comes in, he could take set pieces. If Fred's on the field, he could take set pieces. And there's also a possibility that Rashford takes some set pieces if Bruno is out. So just something to look out for. All right, let's go peek at Brighton. Okay, the expected Brighton lineup here. So I think one important note that could be an edge here on this slate is, I don't think the Brighton options are bad in a vacuum. Although I think they're going to lose this game. They're not a terrible team. I think they will get forward and have some chances in the match. And as you saw, they will probably outcross United. And they do have some talented attacking players, but the problem I have with Brighton is primarily that they, oddly for like a mid to lower table team, have a lot of attacking depth, especially in that front 3. So the issue I have is, while any of these guys would be pretty solid plays if they went 90 minutes, it's highly doubtful that any of them do. And it's like highly unpredictable. Like we saw Aaron Moy play 90 minutes one game and then come off at 45 one game. We've seen Solly March sub on at the half. I think he took Moy off. If Trossard is starting, there's every chance that Pascal Gross comes off the bench to replace March or Trossard. And then the set pieces are, it's murky. We don't know if Moy's going to take, if March is going to take, if Trossard's going to take. Will Gross take if he's on? He probably will if he's on, but he's overpriced. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is just that I have a lot of concerns about the minutes for these Brighton games, and I don't know if I want to spend or allocate that much salary to these Brighton attackers, especially when they're the underdog and we can't be, confident about their minutes. So that would be the biggest thing. The other thing is Shane Duffy might get a start at center back because Adam Webster is dealing with an injury. Duffy and Dunk they're kind of like, sexy DFS plays because they're both really good on set pieces and can get you a goal. But on the flip side of that, these aren't like the most mobile center backs in the world. They're, kind of slow sometimes with that first step. So when you put 2 slower center backs against Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial, watch out. So I think that does make me a little more interested in Martial and Rashford to take advantage of that. And likewise, I don't love Matt Ryan as a keeper play. I don't think they have a great chance of keeping a clean sheet here. So, yeah. And then the one other thing is Lamptey, really interesting play. I will get to him in a second. All right, so since I do not have player projections, I'm just going to kind of run through the salaries here. there is that chance that Fernandez does not start, but, if he's in there, I'm fine with that 12K price. He's going to have a monopoly of set pieces, and Man United are the favored team here, so you really can't go wrong there. Then you have Martial and Rashford, the two highest ceiling guys on the slate. Fernandez is in that conversation, but I think it's interesting that Martial is priced over Rashford, and that's because he had a a hat trick last EPL match. But I mean, really, Rashford is the better player, has the higher floor. So I'm perfectly fine taking that discount on Rashford while everybody maybe tries to chase that hat trick that Martial just had. Gross. There's no way I'm paying 9.4 for him. I don't care if he has all the set pieces. This is a guy that could easily get subbed off at 60 minutes, so I want no part of that. Fred with Fernandez out could have set pieces, but 8K, it's pretty steep. I think De Gea, there could be a scenario where United only wins this game 1 or 2-0, and De Gea could be, one of the top 5 or 6 scorers. So I think he makes some sense in builds where you think United gets the shutout. There's Trossard in March. Decent plays, but the minutes are just a problem. Wan-Bissaka, he's okay there. Pogba 6K, not bad at all. Because we know how talented he is. I think I might rather have Brandon Williams over Wan-Bissaka's got a safer floor, but I think Brandon Williams is a little bit higher upside. Okay, now we're getting down here. McAllister, I don't know if he's going to start. He started against Arsenal. He's looked pretty good. Will take some set pieces, but he only played 58 minutes. And again, it just comes back to that issue of not knowing what's going to happen with the minutes for these Brighton guys. But if he is in the starting lineup, I think he makes some sense just because we're getting down in price enough where you can start to worry less about being guaranteed 90 minutes, which you certainly won't get with McAllister. Harry Maguire is just kind of overpriced at 5K, honestly. Brighton are actually really good at defending set pieces, and when you play Maguire, you're hoping for a set piece goal, so don't really like him at 5K. Certainly could see Danny James start at on the wing at 4.8K. Another guy where you're not going to expect 90 minutes, but you're getting Dan James at a really reasonable price with United as the favorite, so don't mind that at all. Matt Ryan, pretty cheap, but I just don't see a lot of game flows where he has a massive game. So I'll probably stay away there. Okay, now we're kind of getting into the basement here. Aaron Connolly started last match. He actually looked really good. If he starts again, don't mind taking a shot on him at 3.8K. Another guy where he probably gets subbed off fairly early, but he's more of a GPP play, but when you can get a starting forward for a team that is certainly capable of scoring a goal in this match, that's a really nice value for the potential upside at 3.8K. And all right, so I really hope that Lamptey starts at right back. Started against Arsenal. Looked really good, very quick, was decent defensively, but also was willing to get forward. And he's near min price. A fullback at that price in a vacuum is always going to be a pretty good play for Showdown. So, I think to kind of now get to some thoughts on the optimal roster construction. Normally I would say in a match like this, like a 4-2 United stack would probably be the way to go. But the way that these Brighton guys are priced, I just don't think there's a lot of equity in spending up in them. I want to use most of my salary on United, where I can be more confident about player minutes and production. So that might just look like spending up for Fernandez, Rashford, Pogba, one of the fullbacks, and then I'm more than willing to come down here to 3-2 and just get my one Brighton piece for that price. Of course, if Connolly starts at 3-8, not bad either, but I think in most builds you're going to want to end up 5-1 or 4-2 United. A 3-3 would be contrarian in GPP, but that's as far as I would take the Brighton pieces. All right. I think that covers it. Not a lot of like high level stuff here. It's just both teams are playing pretty well, but United's a better side. Should win this match, and I don't think it'll be easy, but they should win. So, and the way the pricing is, I'm just kind of scared of the Brighton pieces based on their minutes for the salary you have to spend. I think 4-2 or 5-1 United, the way to go. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you found it helpful. Again, if you're new, please hit the subscribe button for a bunch of soccer content moving forward. The rest of the summer, I should have stuff out on almost a daily basis, as there's just a ton of soccer being played. Until next time, good luck out there, and hope you win some money.